What's up everyone, welcome back to another episode of AWS tutorial, and today I'll talk about DynamoDB streams. I'll talk about what it is, some of the common use cases, and how to integrate that with a Lambda function. So a Dynamo stream is basically a built-in feature within DynamoDB that publishes events whenever we make changes to a DynamoDB table, and the changes can be insertion, which means we add a new item to the table. It can also be modification, which means we make changes to an existing item on the table, and it can also be a deletion, which means we remove an existing item from the table. And all these events carry information about the changes, and they can be accessed by other services such as Lambda functions, EC2 instances, and they can use the information to do certain tasks that you specify. And now let's look at some of the common use cases that you can use DynamoDB streams for. And obviously this is not an exclusive list. So the first one is that you can use it to process information in the background, for example, analytics. So whenever we make changes to the table, we can just use Dynamo Stream to trigger your backend system to take the information and then process it and then send it to another team for data analysis. And the second use case is that you can use it to improve the response time to the client. For example, when you have a registration system, whenever a customer creates a new account, and the backend API saves the user data to the DynamoDB, you can just return a success message back to the customer right away and tell them that the confirmation is going to come in a few seconds. And then meanwhile, you can use DynamoDB stream to trigger a Lambda function, and the Lambda function is going to use the user information and then send a confirmation email back to them with necessary informations. So this way, the customer knows right away that the registration is successful. And then the third use case is that you can use DynamoDB stream to build a real-time dashboard. Whenever you make changes to the table, you can use DynamoDB stream to trigger a Lambda function, and then the Lambda function would take the information and update the dashboard in real time and show that to the customer. And then finally, you can just simply use it for replicating data from one table to another. Alright, so now we learned about DynamoDB streams. Let's see how we can integrate that with the Lambda function. Alright, so right now I'm on the homepage of the AWS console. So step number one is to create a DynamoDB to work with. So I'm going to type in DynamoDB. Open that onto a new tab. Create table. Give it a name, I just call it test table. Partition key, I use account ID with a string type, and then use all the default settings. Hit create. Alright, so it's done, and now let's create an IAM role for the Lambda function to use. So I'm going to type in IAM, open that into a new tab, hit rows, and then create row. I'll check Lambda because the Lambda function is going to use it. Hit next. And now we're going to attach two policies to it. One is CloudWatch because we need to use that to look at the logs. And then the second one is the DynamoDB policy because we need to grant it access to the DynamoDB table we just created. So CloudWatch log. I'll give it full permission. And then DynamoDB as well. Full permission. Hit next. Next. Give it a name. I'll just call it test Lambda IAM row. Hit create row. Alright, so it's done. It's that one. And now let's create our Lambda function. Hit create. Name it to test Lambda. We're going to use Node.js. And then for permission, we're going to use the row that we just created. I believe it's that one. And then create function. Alright, so it's done. And now we're going to add Dynamo stream as a trigger. So hit add triggers. Type in DynamoDB. And then select the table we just created. Batch size, we can just leave it as 100. And everything else as default. Hit add. I think it's going to take a minute for that to be enabled, so I'm going to pause the video and then come back. Alright, so it's been a minute. So if I refresh, it changes to enable now. And now if I go back to DynamoDB, the table, the Dynamo stream enable was no before. And right now if I refresh, it's going to be yes, because we just enabled it. Alright, so now it becomes enabled. And now let's go back to the Lambda function and write the code to extract the information about the changes. So hit code, index file, and then we're going to delete everything here. First thing first, we're going to console.logout events. And then we're going to use the AWS SDK to extract the old and new images. So whenever we make changes to the DynamoDB table, the event is going to come in as a list of objects that looks like this. We have records, and then inside records we're going to have items that contains all the information about the events. So we're going to extract the new image and the old image from that. So we're going to do const old images. We can have an arrow function. And the reason why we need to do this is that in the object, we have the new image and the old image that looks like this that you have to type, and then you have the value. We don't want that. We just want product ID : ABCD, etc. And then we're going to do the same thing for the new images. New. And then we're just going to console.log it out. Alright, so hit deploy. And now let's go back to DynamoDB. And then we're going to add an item to it. So hit create, ABCD, something, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hit save. And then now if I go back to the Lambda function, hit monitor, view logs in CloudWatch, we should be able to see an event. And if I click on it, so this is the event object that looks like this, and the old image is nothing because we didn't have an item before it's added to the table. And then this is the new item that has an account ID of ABCD and something to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now let's modify that. Just do this, hit save. And now let's go back to CloudWatch. Hit refresh. Now I see a new event. Now we have both the old image, which is the old item that has a ABCD value of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we changed that to be that. And this is the event object that you can see the whole thing. And now let's go back to DynamoDB and delete the item. Hit delete. Now let's go back to CloudWatch. And now I see a different events that has an old image that has all the attributes of the old item, and then an empty object because it doesn't have any new items after the deletion. Alright, so this is it everyone. I hope you have learned something from this video. And if you like this video, I hope you can give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video.